Hi everyone, and welcome back to the weekly Digital Nomads World Lecture. I'm Becca and I'll be your host today. And I'm speaking with Sam Naef, who is going to talk to us about his exciting new project and his work building the climate app. So welcome, Sam.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for agreeing to chat with me. So I'm just going to start off with a little bit, obviously I know you, so I know what you're going to talk about, but for our audience and people that don't know what you do, I'm going to start with a little introduction about you. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from and where you are now?
Sure, so I'm British. I'm kind of staying in Bulgaria at the moment, although at the present moment I'm in South Africa in Cape Town with some beautiful views out the window, which I can't show you because there's a tree in the way, unfortunately. I've had I've had a kind of space career. I've been a social entrepreneur for about 10 years and traveling the world doing private tuition as well as my startups.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Over last year. And if anyone comes through this door, I might have to move location.
Hello?
Yeah, you are calling it right now. So as I was saying, if anyone walks in, apologies, I'll have to move to a different place.
Okay. Okay, just let us know.
I might have to move in a sec.
Okay, so you've given us a little bit about where you're from and kind of where you've been. Obviously, I met you in Bansko in Bulgaria. But can you tell us a little bit about your work? So today's talk is obviously focusing on the climate app. But I guess, can you give us a little bit of an introduction of how you got started in like remote work or how your remote work journey began?
Sure. So actually, the first time I was a digital nomad or remote worker was when I was privately teaching about 10 years ago. So I was, I was very lucky. I did a physics degree when I was teaching it privately in London and Brighton. And then I kind of got tired of London. It was, the air is bad, etc. So I thought, okay, maybe I can do this while traveling. So I did that in Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, and I could just teach for 4 hours per week, get enough money to travel, move, have a motorbike, traveling all around, and I put all the lessons at the same time in the week. On a, I can't remember what it was, Thursday, Friday. The rest of the time I'm just doing whatever I want. And if I was lucky, some of my pupils wanted to stay on with me, so I could I wasn't teaching them in person anymore, but they thought for whatever reason that was worth still doing online lessons with, and then taught them. Sometimes I'll be teaching at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., but 4 hours per week will pay for everything: traveling, food, and accommodation, and my motorbike.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. You can one of the major benefits of having the ability to work remotely means you can move around and kind of, especially if you're living in London, the cost of living is very high. So being able to choose where you can live allows you to, I guess, stretch your money, or your money can go further, which is great. So I guess, how did you then get in, how did your career progress from teaching online? What did you end up doing next?
Then I had the crazy idea of being an astronaut. So I then spent the next couple of years trying to do that. I received my rejection letter just a couple months ago. So it didn't really work out, but I had an amazing journey. I ended up working at NASA, and I was working at Airbus. I was a deep space mission designer for NASA, and I was a laser satellite babysitter for Airbus. But my journey with that kind of, I guess, for me personally, I realized that I've got to first do everything I can to protect and save the planet that we're on before I try and do a selfish goal of me trying to get into space. So that was kind of my conclusion. So my heart kind of moved more into doing whatever I can to protect what we have right now. This incredible paradise we call planet Earth. So that's why I'm spending all my time on the climate app for the last 2-3 years. And over the last 10 years, I've maintained another social project called 8 Billion Minds. It's an educational project. So I've had that ticking over as well. And so the two kind of social projects combined kind of all led to this moment while I was at Airbus, which was doing a job which wasn't really satisfying me at all. And then all of that kind of led to this point, which is, okay, I've got to become a digital nomad. I've got to see the world again. I've got to travel, do what I really believe in. And so I went and visited Bansko in Bulgaria for 1 week, went back, quit my job the next day at Airbus, and then traveled with everything I own in a tiny Nissan Micra all the way from Munich to Bulgaria. So I've just got to plug my computer in before it turns off. One second.
Yep. So I guess working for NASA kind of made you realize that you wanted to do more to kind of help the planet and focus on kind of helping with climate issues. So can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, where the idea came for making I guess actually, first of all, can you explain to us the app and the idea behind it, and kind of the project that you're working on right now?
Sure. I think the story of how I came to that conclusion, I'll probably start with that. So I had a couple of entrepreneurial friends who wanted to do something about the climate, didn't really know where to start. One of them thought, okay, let's start doing web online live stream events with climate experts. So we did that every month for a few months, and listening to all these amazing experts and stuff, and it was really positive, etc. But at the end, I kind of realized, well, we said all the right things, but who was actually changing the behavior? Why isn't anyone, how much impact can we actually have? Because we've had this, all talk, no action for the last 40, 50 years. So then it was quite obvious that there was something missing to help people's awareness turn into action. There's a tool missing. And so that kind of led into the climate app. It needed to be accessible. From my science background, it basically says the reasons that anyone ever changes their behavior is because of seeing the actions of people around them. It's getting influenced by those. So we needed to leverage positive peer pressure, and then and make it fun at the same time, and also social. So that's basically what the climate app is. It's making climate action easy, fun, and social. It leverages positive peer pressure to create a movement of action to protect our planet from climate collapse. And so, that's been going for about 3 years now. We're a good team of 30.
That's really awesome. And I guess it's the whole team is remote, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a complete, so much diversity. We've got people in Australia, Europe, America, Canada, South America, Asia, China. Everyone is in different parts of the world. Some are working full time and then doing an hour before work, an hour after work. Some are also digital nomads. In fact, the person that told me about Bansko in Bulgaria was also a digital nomad, and obviously I asked her for her advice for where I should go, and she said check out Bansko. Big shout out to Becky Wong if you're listening. So I'm totally lost my train of thought now. Everyone's digital nomads. Yeah, some people are traveling as well. In fact, one guy is a designer and he's in Sofia right now, so he might come to Bansko and say hi soon. So it is, it's incredible that when you start a project for social good, there's a lot of people that want to help, and a lot of people are feeling unsatisfied in their jobs, etc., and they want to put their amazing skills to things that they believe will help change the world.
Yeah, for sure. I guess, what would you say are some of the biggest rewards of having a remote team?
Greatest reward, well, there's easy benefits, such as you can schedule meetings that a bit more friendly, perhaps, to your time zone. Well, yeah, plus negative sometimes.
I was going to say, would that be a challenge, or is it?
It's an absolute challenge. Yeah, everyone's all out, trying to fit out in the doodle and trying to find out which time works. It is a bit tricky. I've kind of learned the subgroups just sometimes try and get the subgroups to be roughly in the same time zone, but it doesn't always work out. And we've got an issue at the moment where someone's in Australia, someone's in Europe, and someone's in America, all in the same subgroup, and it's absolute pain. But there's so many benefits. I mean, from being remote, as soon as a meeting ends, you go and do whatever you're doing. You go and finish watching a movie or eating or sitting on the sofa, looking outside, playing guitar, whatever it is.
You get the freedom to still enjoy your life in between.
Yeah, absolutely.
And from a business point of view, I guess having a global team gives you so much diversity in ideas, and probably from like a marketing point of view, it's fantastic having people located all over the world.
Yeah, there's so much experience and knowledge that comes from different places. It just reminds me right now that one of the volunteers is in Africa, and so she can essentially set up the whole African front, and get that to happen. And maybe that's much more difficult when you're physically located, setting up something one place. I don't know. But yeah, we've got an international feel, which is part of the core business, for both the climate app and 8 billion minds. I think there's so much richness that comes when you have a lot of people from different parts of the world, bringing different ideas and different ways of working, etc.
Yeah.
When I was at the International Space University, that there was only 45 people in the whole university, and everyone was from different parts. And one of the, we had quite a few lectures on being sensitive to different cultures, in ways of working, etc. So, I won't say which countries, but some are very, very polite, and they won't ever. You have to kind of really nudge them to say what they actually think, and others are very blunt, and that can be seen as rudeness from others. So you've got to be very careful and culturally sensitive sometimes, but generally, you get the right people.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of learning curves that come with it as well. So I guess going back to the app, can you tell us a little bit more about how it's going to work? You mentioned, did you say positive peer pressure?
Yeah.
Is that the correct? Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, the idea of the app, like how it will work? Can you give us an example of some of the things?
Sure. Probably the best way to explain it is taking the best bits from Duolingo, Strava, and Instagram. So Duolingo makes learning a language really easy. It makes things bite-sized. So that's what we're doing for climate action, make things bite-sized. So you've got lots of challenges in the app that you complete, like switching to green energy, not eating meat for a day, tracking your flights, trying to find an alternative flight, all these different bite-sized challenges. Similar to Strava, which Strava tracks your activities like runs and swims and cycling. We track certain things over time, like how much meat or how many flights you do. We create graphs. It calculates your carbon footprint and then shows how your carbon footprint changes over time. So we have data and aggregate it and show your effect on the wider cause as well, kind of similar to Strava. And then you've got similar-ish to Instagram, where you've got feeds, you've got people sharing photos, their own actions, and you've got a community sense, and that's where you get that positive peer pressure from as well, which is from science, which is the number one reason why anyone ever changes their behaviour, really, particularly in the environment space. And that's kind of what the whole app is leading to, is showing that you're not isolated in tackling this issue, that we are all together, that if we all do this at the same time, we can actually fight this and reverse some of the irreversible changes, or try to prevent them happening. One of them's already happened. But this crisis is bigger than anyone is taken seriously right now. It is far huger than corona pandemic. It is absolutely frightening if you really understand what's going on, and people are just carrying on as normal as if it's not happening.
Yeah,
and we've got to wake people up, but we've also got to not panic people, and to keep people thinking positively about this and working together on it, because we can do it. but it is going to take a lot of work, and we've got to get a lot of things right. We've got to take everything we've learned from maps, all the gamification, positive stuff that we've learned over the last, 10, 20 years, and apply that to finally something which is really important, rather than just switching candies over to get them to disappear. Now we're applying all of that gamification to climate action, to as cheesy as it sounds, to save the world. So we're trying to create a movement of action. Yeah.
And I guess so obviously people can use the app, I guess, to monitor their their carbon footprint by the different things that they're doing that impact the environment. Is there any way, like, is there part of the app where people can see like a progress that they're like cutting down their emissions, or do you track the information that people are entering so you can see if it's working, if that makes sense? Like if people are actually making an impact?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you first log on, it actually asks you to calculate your carbon footprint very quickly in just 6 questions. We don't ask you 150 more. So now we get that rough figure. You can make it more accurate by answering more questions later. But once we have that value, the more challenges you complete and the more things you do, you can start to see that carbon footprint, your emission value going down, and you can see what is a sustainable limit. You can set a goal to try and reach. So you can see how this thing changes over time. And a very important thing that we're just working on right now is to create this kind of dashboard of seeing where you fit into the wider scale of things. So how many people have you influenced to do a certain action? How many other people have you influenced to cut carbon by a certain amount and aggregate that value? And how many people have, I don't know, brought onto the app and beat other challenges, etc. So, and then also we want to show the global CO2 emissions, and then say what are some of the big things we've got to achieve as a species, and then to see which ones are being worked on, which ones are being done or not. So we all can very quickly see, just like that, where are we in the fight against climate crisis, because it is a bit difficult to see that. We're seeing the bad things that are happening to the environment, but we need to see really how far away we are from where we need to be if we're not going to have a continuously heating world, and to basically forget about any ice on the caps, and if we killing a million species and have millions of people displaced, and having a severe weather like we've never seen, but constantly.
Yeah.
Also the deaths of millions of people, and they're going to be the most poorest. So it's something that, if you're living in one of the developed countries, it's your responsibility. We really need to take this on. It's not really for those in developing countries. They're going to be the ones who suffer, and it needs to be us who takes responsibility for it.
Yeah, and I think it's very easy to continue life as normal and not necessarily think about the impact that even you're having. And I think something like this app is a great way. I mean, everyone uses their phones for various different things now. And like you said before, there's different apps where you can challenge each other. So why not kind of turn that concept into something good, like challenging each other to do something good to help with fight climate change?
Exactly. And we should, if we get it right, it'll just be super easy. We'll just be like, oh, these are things I've got to do. Here's the links to get me to swap and do this, change product, or click here to move my money to a better place, because your money is probably sitting in your bank. Unless you're aware of it, that money is being used to invest into oil, gas, into really harmful industries for the earth. So you've got to move. It's one of the biggest actions you can do right now, is put your money in a good place that is being invested into a sustainable future, rather than doing even more negative right now. So there's so many easy things, easy switches we can all do, but we just don't know about it. It's spread across this vast thing called internet. So hopefully the app will have a very wide uptake, and also it'll be fun because we can challenge people to do certain things. So if I've switched to a more efficient car, or switch to green energy, I can challenge someone else to do that. I don't know, Dave down the road, I can challenge him to get an electric car or switch to green energy, you know. So I hope these little social hooks can be really powerful as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. So what is the future for the app, or for the movement? Do you have any other plans for making more of an impact?
Yeah, so you know, the grand vision is that in 5 years we'll have 90 million active users. It could be a lot more. That takes us into roughly the same size as Duolingo, Strava, but we want to be the go-to climate app. For that, we're going to need a massive network of ambassadors all around the world. We have a couple of pretty famous ones in the UK right now, an Olympian and a Guinness World Record holder for endurance running. Big shout out to Max Litchfield and Fiona Oakes. But we're going to need a big network of ambassadors around the world and lots of amazing organisations which help us promote this this movement and call for the climate app as being the tool for this. Right now, what we're doing is we're actually, because we've been 30 volunteers for the last 2.5 years, and we have the apps ready now to launch, but not as. So if anyone is searching Play Apple Store for it, that's why you can't find it right now. But we're hoping to launch it in about 1 month. We penciled in the date of 1st of May. We're not too sure if that happens, but that's basically why we're doing this crowdfunder right now, to raise a minimum of £100,000 to employ some of the volunteers full time. We've actually just reached, I think we're on 85% today.
Oh, that's awesome.
About 5 or 6 days ago. We're already at 85%, £85,000. So if we get to 100%, then we're going to be able to employ some of us full time, and then we're going to able to launch the apps, because we don't want to launch the apps if we just a bunch of volunteers. You know, things can move very fast, very quickly. So we want to make sure that there's people working full time on this, and speed up the whole development and get impact as soon as possible. So we're doing this crowdfunder right now on Seedrs, SEEDRS. Well, I think we're still on the front page, the landing page at the moment. And so assuming that we get that to be successful, then we can employ people, then we'll launch it in the UK, and then we'll create basically teams around the world in different countries to change the content to be specific for those locations, get the carbon calculations for those locations as well. And then we'll start rolling out the app to different locations around the world and try and grow this thing as quick as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. And can you give us some examples? So you mentioned you could challenge each other to like change to an electric car. I'm assuming that there's like smaller challenges on there too. Can you give us some examples of like, I guess, some of the easy things that people could do just to start like bringing down their carbon footprint? Like some of the things that aren't, you know, like obviously investing in a new car is quite a big commitment. Are there like smaller ones? Can you give some examples of what people could do to start helping?
Yeah, that's something we're working on right now, to break down these things into small steps as possible, because, you know, like Duolingo, you want to start with a small behavioral change, and then it's much easier to grow. One of the ones I really like is swapping to a bamboo toothbrush. You know, just trying to avoid plastic things, you know, and a bamboo toothbrush is a really nice, you know, thing, and every day you see, you feel good because you're not, you know, bought some plastic or whatever. What's another one? Going vegan for 1 day or 1 meal. I think that's, you know, just doing a bit of research. It's really easy to do. You feel amazing. It's healthy for you. If there is a thing with not eating meat, apparently where you've got to do it for at least a couple of months before you get used to not having meat, and then it really unlocks the power of fruit and veg, etc., and nuts and all the others. I have as yet not been able to become a full vegan. I do have quite a bit of fish still, but I'm hoping that the app will help me to get there. One of the things I did do was swap beef and lamb to chicken and pork.
Okay.
So beef and lamb is 15 times worse for the environment than chicken and pork. So if you want to do a massive thing, just don't eat beef or lamb anymore. It's not that difficult to do. You still got pork and chicken. You're not killing an animal, and it's 15 times less damaging than eating pork and chicken.
Yeah, that's
So
quite a big percent for kind of quite a small change.
it's huge. It's, you know, cows, it's actually their burps, you know, they fart and they burp methane, which is 25 times worse than carbon dioxide for the atmosphere. But that is really, really bad for the environment. So, you know, try and cut down on that. And remember, we have consumer power. So every action you do, people are watching how many people are buying things in certain places, and that does apply pressure to the market, to the ecosystem, to then force producers and to you know, create different products, etc. So and politicians are looking at all these numbers as well. So we have so much power in our hands. We've got to, first of all, you know, it's a vote every single time we buy something, and we've got to realize that, and that does cause change. You know, vegans have been around for quite a while, and all of those people doing those actions have led to, you know, aisles of vegan stuff in supermarkets now. In some places across the world, you really have a large portion of superstores being vegan now, and that's the future. You know, we're going to have great technology as well. Like I had a Beyond Meat burger today. You know, these amazing bits of technology which can create fake meat, etc. So, you know, we've got to keep you know, putting our money into things like that to help promote, you know, that sustainable way of living.
Yeah, for sure.
Other easy wins. Well, it's not so easy, but try, first of all, get a small car. Don't do a big. There's no need for a really big gas guzzler. But just walk or cycle. Any journeys less than a kilometer. You know, anything like that. Put a pannier on your bike. That was one of the first things I did. As soon as you put panniers on your bike, it opens you up to shop with your bike. It's healthy. You're outside. You put things on your bike. You meet people. There's so many wins. Well, some people can't do it if they live in a super icy place or whatever. But you know, for the majority of people, it's essential.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you for sharing those. I think sometimes it can seem like it's a big challenge to know where to start. And I think the app will be a great way to kind of get people involved and kind of able to kind of, I guess, adapt their habits to start being a bit more conscious of climate change and hopefully start to make a bit of a difference.
Yeah. We can do this. We just need all get together and start believing it.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's something called the 7 psychological barriers of climate inaction, and people always find reasons for not doing things, and it falls into these 7 categories. And so we've got to basically fight against these 7 things in the app. You know, people believe they're isolated, the issue's too big, they don't know who to trust. They don't think they should do anything if no one else is, you know, these kind of things. But, you know, like we've seen with all other movements through history, they all start from just a few individuals or one individual doing something, and it propagates out. And now, once we have a tool, you know, hopefully, if people get on board with it, then we can really change society for the better. Yeah,
for sure. So you mentioned that when the app is launched, will it just be launched in the UK first? What's your kind of plan, or how long do you think it would take to have the app, I guess, available worldwide with various like challenges kind of suited to each country or region? What's your kind of, I guess, projected plan for that?
Yeah, good question. As soon as possible, but it will certainly be in the UK first of all, and then within 1 year from that, I would love to be rolled out in the US and Australia, and possibly Canada as well. There is a list of the big carbon emitters. So we're going to go for the English-speaking countries first of all, and then I think top of our list, once we get a team in China, they're a big carbon emitter, so we'll try and get it going there. Russia, but you know, many reasons why we might want to do that, but South Korea is another big emitter, but certainly a lot of the English speaking, the low hanging fruit ones is probably a good place to start with.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a fantastic project, and I'm really looking forward to testing it when it's live. We're coming towards the end of our talk. So I always end this with one last question. It's kind of, I guess, a bit more related back to being a digital nomad or working remotely. What is one piece of advice you'd give to people that are looking to become a digital nomad? So people looking to start their journey.
One bit of advice, just buy your ticket and then everything else will become easy from them. That first ticket is really difficult to do, but as soon as you do that, everything is easy, and it will be a lot easier than you think once you're in a new place. I mean, everything's set up. It's got everywhere, any digital nomad hotspot. That's what I did. I joined one of the Facebook groups, Digital Nomads, Global Digital Nomads or something, Facebook group, and I asked where's the best place to be, and it's 200 messages saying come here, come here, come here, come here. Then I just spoke to someone I knew, where's the best place? She recommended Bansko, went and visited it, and it's all these places have everything set up. There's people living there, so it's got everything set up really, really well for people. And if you're not moving around every now and again, I think you're missing out on something. I only feel alive when I physically move every now and again, and you learn so much by being in different places, and it's the things you can't really put a finger on what you learn. It's a lot of social skills, understanding about life, the universe, and everything.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you very much for joining me today, and thank you for agreeing to chat about your app. If anyone wants to get in contact with you or is interested in finding out more about the app, where is best for them to contact you or to find out more?
So feel free to find me on Facebook or Instagram. My personal email address is this, naef@gmail.com. You can send an email to the Climate app, hello@climateapp.earth. You can obviously see the website, www.theclimateapp.earth. And if you want to own a bit of the Climate app, then definitely check out our crowdfunder, which we've got right now, which we've just reached 85% with. Let's have a look. It was 121 investors, and we're on 85%. So you can own a bit of Climate app from as little as £10. So definitely check out that. It's got an awesome video as well of myself up a mountain in Bansko, and many of the other team who are absolutely incredible. People working at Facebook, WhatsApp, and Sky, and RPM, and all these things. See some of them and see the projects. But you can also sign up on the mailing list on the Climate App to Earth. Help join this movement. Make sure you download the app and you get using it and start getting other people to use it as well, because the world literally needs all of us doing this.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for sharing that. We'll add all the links into the YouTube video as well, so then people can find out more and hopefully join in. So thank you once again for joining me, and thank you for everyone who joined us today. Next week, I will be speaking with Oscar Train about starting a digital nomad lifestyle at the age of 20. So if you want some inspiring information, then join me next week. And thank you again, Sam.
Pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Becca.
Thank you.
Have a lovely week. Thanks.